Let me tell you about a family.
Let's go.
We had a family join teach me about property. It was mum and son.
Mm-hmm.
Mum was married, and her son. They both got in. Mum really wanted to get, let's try and build some wealth. Let's do. She already owned property, but she wanted to keep going, right? And hubby didn't want to be a part of the journey, but the son was like, "Yeah, mum, I'll support you. Let's do this together."
Yeah.
So what happened was, mum was able to buy her first investment property.
Yep.
But what really kicked into gear was the son. He's a young guy. He was working hard, and he was like really sharp with his money. And so he was able to very quickly, I think maybe 6 months after they joined, he bought his first property.
Well, how old is he?
At the time, he would have been maybe 19. 19.
19.
He was able to buy his first property. Man. Yeah, young.
He's young.
Young. Would you be proud of your 19-year-old son if he bought property?
I think at 19 I wasn't thinking about buying property.
Yeah, but as a dad, would you be proud of him?
100%.
Proud of him.
Especially if they were the one keen to want to do it,
Yeah, well, mum was the driver, and then he's gone along to say, "I'll support you, mum."
Yeah.
And then, lo and behold, she bought a property, and then we've gone, "Well, look, you're in a position to buy.
Yeah,
why don't we get you into a
mad,
property?"
mad.
And he bought his first property. He bought a unit in Wentworthville here in Sydney, right? And he's 19 years old.
19, that's crazy.
Property value goes up, as sometimes happen.
Yeah.
And he buys a second property. He buys a unit in Liverpool.
What was their first property? Was it a unit? A house?
Yeah, it was a unit.
Yeah.
So the first property he bought was a unit in Wentworthville, right? That property went up in value. He used the equity to buy a second property.
Oh, he bought a second
which
one?
was a unit in Liverpool. And then both of those properties went up in value, and he used the equity to buy a third property up in Queensland, a townhouse. 3 properties in 3 years, bro's 22 with 3 properties.
Crazy.
Well, here's where it gets interesting, right? So mum and dad split up.
Okay.
They went through a process of, divorce.
Yeah.
And look, it's really common in that process that mum and dad hate each other, they go to war, and they try and tear each other down, and they become quite vindictive.
The kids, yeah.
Right, that's common. And then they try and take everything from everyone, and they want to win every little piece of thing, right? That's very common. But in this situation, I saw something that I've never ever seen before, right? What happened was the dad tried to go after the son's property assets.
What? So this is after he's bought the 3 properties.
He's bought the 3 properties, and dad's position was he didn't do it on his own. His mum's helped him. That's my money. He's bought those properties with my money. I'm entitled to half of those properties.
Wow. I'm entitled.
As a dad. Wow. Like, how could you do that? Like, I'm a dad. I'm a boy dad, man.
Wow.
Proud.
Wow.
You know what I mean? If my sons had bought 3 properties by the age of 22, man, I'd be the proudest dad 100%. Ever. I wouldn't stand in a court and say that those properties were bought with my money and I want my cut.
So went to court.
So 100%. It's part of the divorce. Took him to court. And so what happens is you're the judge, right? And in divorce, everyone just makes lots of claims.
Yeah.
Oh, this happened, this happened.
Right,
and so they're used to it.
Yeah.
So the judge is like, yeah, okay, but and then they request for all the documents. They request for all the documents to come in. They request for everything to come in. And then what happens is the judge realizes that this 19-year-old kid had no help.
Wow.
No help from mum, no help from dad.
Solid.
Right? It took a while because they had to submit all the documents and they had to show the settlement documents.
Well, they were looking at the savings, where the funds coming from.
Where the funds coming from, yeah. But eventually...
it showed the facts.
The facts come to
the facts showed that it came from...
And the facts show...
came from the son.
That this 19-year-old son, who's now 22, 23, has, through his own efforts, through his own hard work, with his own money, has managed to buy 2 properties in Sydney and 1 in Brisbane.
It's crazy.
And the judge went off at the dad, bro.
For sure, man.
Went off at the dad.
How could you?
He's like, what the hell is wrong with you? How can you not be proud of your son? Look at what your son's done. And you bring him into court here and you want to take half of his assets, knowing you never contributed in any way? I have never heard of that.
Wow. Never,
ever have I heard of a father trying to get the assets of their son. In a divorce proceedings. I've never heard of that. That's crazy. Crazy. I've never met the dad. I've never met him.
Yeah.
I don't know who he is. I've never met him. I worked really closely with the mum and son for years, for the last 5 years.
But obviously you would have worked with the son one-on-one and
but what I'm saying is,
and seen his commitment. And
he never attended a single meeting. He wasn't a part of it. He didn't want to be part of it. But then after it's done, he's like, where's my money?
he kicked in.
Bro. So like I said, I've never met him. I don't know him. I don't know the guy. But, you know, man to man.
Yeah, 100%.
Man to man.
Why would you do that?
As a father.
Knowingly.
But what kind of man are you?
Yeah.
What kind of father are you? You know, at what point do you stop? At what point? Because it's obvious when all the documentation comes through. But too late.
Yeah, that's
Man to
crazy
man.
time, bro. That's
to
crazy.
that man.
That's
That's
crazy.
not a dad, bro. That's not being a man. That's not being a father. Like, man, you should be proud of your son.
Yeah.
For someone to be able to go and do that and produce those outcomes at that age, like that, the average age of a first homeowner in Australia is 38 years old. 38. And he's done it at 19.
Let alone 3.
And a 3 by 22. Like, that ain't normal.
Yeah.
That is effort on effort on effort. You know what I mean? That student didn't come to any of our events, didn't come to stuff. Why? He was always working.
Always working?
He's always working. Bro. And for me, mad respect. Mad respect. I can't make it. I'm working. Right? That's a provider. That's what men look like.
Yeah.
Real men. You know, you turn up. You work when you have to. You do what's required.
Finance can change people, eh?
Yeah, money, man. Money, bro. How can you want something you never worked for and you never contributed to? I don't understand that. Like, that's not in my DNA.
Yeah.
You know, I was brought up that, you know, men work and real men work hard.
Yeah.
And if you want anything in this life, just go to work for it.
Okay, get it?
You know, if you want more money, get a second job.
Yeah.
If you want more money than that,
Yeah.
go start a business.
Yeah.
If you want more money than that, invest.
Yeah.
It's simple. It's not complicated. But nowhere in that plan or strategy is the answer to try and take the assets of your child.
It's crazy time.
But the good news story here
Tell us.
is that, well, the judge saw the truth.
Yeah.
Judge saw the truth.
I think let alone just the whole process of that, like the starting, it's
Having to go through it.
just emotional
Yeah, it's trauma, bro. It's trauma.
baggage with all that,
trauma.
you know. First of all, divorce in itself, and then
Yeah, divorce is bad.
and then to carry on through the finance and then get the kid involved.
Yeah, that's heavy. Heavy. That's the worst play I've ever seen.
So how they doing now?
While they're still coming through the other side of it, to be honest.
Still in the midst of it, yeah.
Yeah. So the son, done. That part's done. But there's just stuff lingering. But, you know, man, truth prevails.
Yeah, that's
Truth
the
prevails.
principle, right?
Hard work pays off. And in the end, like, you can see exactly what happened. And so the good news story is, you know, he's built assets that will serve him and his family for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And him and his mum went through that together, you know, so their relationship's a lot stronger.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, you know, when I talk to him, he's just like, you know, that's my dad.
He's still young. Yeah, but he's still young.
Crazy.
And that's right. It is.
That's what he said. Yeah. He's like, well, Massey, you know, that's my dad. That's how he is. So all you dads out there, better lift your game, man. Lift your game. Because that ain't it, man. That ain't the way. You know, work hard. Be a provider. Make your family proud. Give them the life you never had. And be the man she wants you to be.